Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Jordan here from the 3D Print Stop. I'm gonna take you through some of the day. So let's get open first. All right, first things first, I'm gonna check on the printers. I need to start some real quick. Come with me and start those. I ended up getting an email last night at like 7:40 about getting some minis done. So I'm gonna get those started real quick on my resin machines and hopefully I can turn them over today. So these are the 4 minis that I need to print. He gave instructions on what I need to do with them real quick too. So this big guy is gonna be reduced to 95%. So reduce that one to 95. This guy is just plain. This one is named Adder. He gets reduced to size 82%. And then this guy gets increased to 110%. All right, so when it comes to resin printing, you don't want a lot of like flat suction forces. So I tend to take all these guys and rotate them backwards. So it kind of starts on a point and kind of grows from there either way. Then once you get them all angled, you can go to your auto supports, apply your auto supports. Then we go below and double check. So I'm gonna add some manual supports. These are really big feet. I'm gonna make sure where it starts, they are all gonna start well, have enough supports to keep it going. So yeah, we're just gonna keep adding them where we think we need them the most. And if you see this black line shows the entire layer. So once you move down and you see it connect and the whole thing is solid, that whole layer is gonna be printed at once. So that's where you know you definitely need more supports. Because right here you see it come up on the edge a little bit, so it's not a completely flat layer. But we're gonna get some more supports on these guns that are just overhanging. Don't want them to fall off. But the bottom of the heels where it's starting, that is the most important to keep these from actually failing. So this is a perfect example. See how they only have one on the left, one on the right, and this whole thing is gonna be printed at one time. So that was probably gonna be a big failure point if we don't put more of these supports around, especially on that line. So let's zoom in, get the last one. Boom, okay. So even the auto ones aren't perfect yet. I'm sure other slicers might be better at this. I've never tried lychee slicer, but I heard really good things about it. Oh, and also all of these red sections are more overhangs. So it points them out just so you know they are overhangs and you might need some support, but it only puts them automatically on the ones that they have to have supports. All right, so these look good. Now in the instructions, he also had multiples of these. So this big guy, there is only one. This guy, there is 3 of them. So we're just gonna Control C, Control V twice. This guy, there's 2 of them, so do that once, and the other one, there's 4. Okay, now we're gonna try to get them all on one plate because I don't want to have to print 2 plates of these. They should all be able to fit. And if you notice these little yellow highlights, they're saying they are voids in the model. So if you want to keep them voids, essentially, you need to add drainage holes so the resin can seep out when it's done printing. I'm just gonna force it to print and they're gonna be solid. So I'm gonna click on your plate again and hit slice. I'm gonna save it to my flash drive and then go to the printer. All right, got it all saved. Let's go to the printer. And this is just as easy as plugging the USB stick back in, going to print, and then waiting for the file to load, and then you click it and you start it. Boom, started. All right, now that that's going, I need to start on the other printers and do my daily video. All right, here's a sneak peek first. On my H2S, that tire finally finished. So this is all TPU. That looks really good. Hopefully I can get all the supports off pretty easy. I know it likes to stick to each other. That might just be a task. Oh, and then check these out. So these are going to be little coaster sized things. They're honestly just for a desk decoration. I printed them all white. First off, look at this ironing. Can you see any layers? I can't see them in person. Try to tap it, see if it focuses. But yeah, no, these are like absolutely perfect settings. And this in Bambu Studio was ironing turned on for top surfaces at 60 millimeters a second and 30% of the flow. And this is also Overture matte white. Came out absolutely perfect. Anyway, this part I'm going to be UV printing on to make these. So this is one of the other things I need to start real quick. The customer's leaving town and needs these by tonight. So I only need 4 more of these done. And yeah, so printing and then UV printing onto them is just an amazing thing to be able to do. I know UV printers are expensive, but if you have the means, it can really boost your business. All right, then on the P2S are the last 2 pieces of the mask that I was building for the last couple days. I'm going to be gluing that all together today as well. All right, since you got that sneak peek, I'm not gonna actually record myself recording it again because all you saw was my back and it made no sense. So I'm gonna do that real quick and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. I'll have the footage and I'll edit that later. Now I need to go start these real quick They don't take very long. So this is my UV printer setup. Once again, I made a jig the other day and I actually already got it located. I did a couple test prints, messed up a couple, and now I know it's perfectly in the center. So all I have to do is drop these in and then come to my computer and start it. Just got another one of these off. They look fantastic. And yeah, let's get more started. All right, I'm gonna let it do its thing. All right, in between those, I'm gonna work on getting this mask all glued together. So let's do that. All right, let's see how we can get this together. All right, we're just gonna try to get it together as cleanly as possible. They don't wanna do any gap filling or anything. I'm just gluing it for them and then they will have to figure out the rest. All right, I'm gonna use my Starbond gap filler, CA glue, the thick stuff so it doesn't run everywhere because that's annoying. And I have some dried to the tip. All right, clean that off. All right, once it's cleaned off, we can start applying a bead all the way down the middle. Now we're gonna try to slowly line it up. Like I said, we want this to be as even as possible. And then once you're happy with the whole location, we spray the accelerator and try to get it all to stick. All right, I'm gonna actually reinforce this too by just putting a line down the middle of the back and try to glue that as well. I really don't want this coming apart on them. All right, there's the first piece. Now we're just gonna work our way around. All right, and the mask is all put together. It's pretty big. Oh, and I got my last UV print done on these coaster things. So those are all done. And since we have half an hour before I open, I'm gonna try to get this printer back up and running. I finally got the part in. It was when he was trying to change his extruder, like the whole unit, when he pushed it back in to bring it to me, he cut his ribbon cable on the filament sensor. So I'm going to get that reinstalled now. Let's see if our hard work paid off. All right, it is saying there's a force sensor issue, so I gotta keep looking into it. All right, honestly, the last time I had this error message, it was actually the USB cable that was bad. So let's check that. This does not look installed correctly. I bet that is the sole reason why they couldn't get this up and running in the first place. And for you to see what I'm seeing, the USB cable is not plugged in all the way. This is kind of lifted out. It needs to be pushed in and shoved over more. But we are gonna check all of the cords just to make sure they are fine. All right, they all look fine. Nothing's kinked or broken. So let's just see if we can get this in there correctly. And let's try this again. Beautiful. That fixed it. It was the USB cable not plugged in all the way in the bottom when you first set it up. So if you're having this issue with a brand new A1, it's probably the USB cable. Make sure it's seated correctly. All right, so I got the 4 things I wanted to do before I open the building. I got the minis started to print. I got the UV laser all done, those pucks done. I got the helmet put together, and I got the Bambu A1 all up and running. So I have 5 more minutes until the doors open. I'm going to try to get my TPU tire off real quick, and then I can play with that at the front and try to get all the sports off. All right, this is probably going to be a pain, but maybe it won't be. Oh, it's coming off kind of nice. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. Hey, look at that. Perfect. Look at that tire. Now these, on the other hand, it's just gonna be a lot of ripping. But this is the tread pattern he wanted to go with, something more aggressive. Obviously, the front of a golf cart, like the push-along golf carts, they aren't super aggressive, but he wanted to see what it would look like. Yeah, I think this is gonna be really cool. All right, it is 11:59. Let's open the doors. And we're open. Now to the TPU tire. And actually, this really doesn't need to be done at this exact moment. I'm probably gonna edit my daily video, get that posted real quick, and then do this in between customers coming in and out. So I'll be back. All right, it is 1:20. I got my short uploaded, and then I initially got it taken down from YouTube because of the music I added to it, even though I pay for story blocks on LumaVision, whatever. I didn't want to fight it, so I just re-uploaded it again without the music. So sorry, there's a little cutscene in there where I'm gluing things together, and it's completely silent on YouTube because I can't add music if it's over 60 seconds. So yeah, it is what it is. Now I need to answer some emails, go through all my stuff, and I already had a couple people in here today talking, had some good conversations about printing. Had a customer really into printing airplanes and things like that. So that was a fun conversation, and I might be looking at getting some lightweight PLA or PETG in, maybe to play with that myself too. I don't know, we'll see what happens. All right, time to work on the tire. All right, and the tire is all done. Nice and flexible. It's gonna be perfect. Look at that aggressive tread. This is exactly the look he was going for. Can't wait to see it actually on the pushable golf cart. All right, I got that A1 testing. Looks like it's flying through its print job. I think this printer is good to go. Now the customer can finally print with it. They actually got this printer around Christmas and they couldn't get it running, and they're gonna be so excited they can now. Oh, and yesterday I actually had Adam from Keo Prints stop by. So we had a good chat about YouTube, and he gave me some tips and tricks, and hopefully it leads to monetization or working with these printer companies in the long term. So shout out to Adam over at Keo Prints. If you haven't followed them already, you definitely should be. He does a lot of informational, educational things, and he has some great videos. So it's 2:47, it's halfway through my day of being open. So I needed to start a print real quick, get that done, and then I have pretty much everything else. I did get another K1C printer in. I had it in before and I couldn't figure it out, but they got a new board. They got it all installed and they're still having issues. So I'm gonna open that back up and see if I can find anything wrong with it. All right, these were the minis that I printed this morning, and I'm gonna get them all cleaned up and cured and let the customer know that they can come pick them up. So as you can tell, they are a bunch of the little robots that we got started. And then I also need to change this vat over to a different color and print another file for a customer. All right, then you really have to clean the top of your build plate and everything when you're changing colors, because any contamination will mess with the resin. So that's all clean. All right, as those are waiting, I'm going to empty this resin vat. All right, I know a lot of you are gonna come at me in the comments saying I should be filtering this, but I've been doing this for 7 years now, and I know when I have debris in my tank, I'm definitely gonna filter that. And I know there's no debris, I haven't had any failures, and I'm watching it pour, there's no clumps. If there was, I would have to just filter this whole bottle, but it's fine. I trust my knowledge that I've been doing it for so long. So if you're gonna hate me, I guess you're gonna hate me. All right, and the best way to clean this out is get a little bit of IPA on your towel of choice and just try to wipe it all out. The IPA really helps to move the resin around and clean it. Unless you're using water-soluble resin, then just use water. All right, and then once your tray is clean, you can set it back in and get the new color prepped. All right, and we're gonna be using some clear red Helgu standard photopolymer resin. We need to do some lenses for a guy's mask, and the clear red, you can polish up nicely so you can still see through it. So this should be awesome. All right, we're gonna dump that in. All right, and that one's all ready to go. Moving over to the cleaning station. So essentially, I have a dirty bath, a cleaner bath, and then I UV cure them. So the minis have been in the dirty bath trying to get off the bulk of the resin. And then obviously there's still gonna be a little bit in it, because when we transfer it over to this one still gets dirty over time, but that is washing. I'm gonna need to change that out here soon and then get some fresh IPA in there, but it's still cleaning it well. And then once that's done, we will get all the sports off and put them in the curing station. Now that these are done, try to shake them off as much as you can, and let's get the supports off. So usually you can kind of just use your fingers and press them off, especially after they've been washed for, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes, they get kind of soft. Some people cure them with the supports. I never liked doing that because they were a little bit tougher to get off, but there's that guy. Here's a big boy. And then I use my flush cutters to get into the areas I can't get my fingers. All right, that one's done. Now I'm gonna do all the rest. All right, once they're all support free, we can throw them in the curing station. All right, just got an alert that this printer finished. This was a part that I needed for a pair of glasses I printed for a customer. So I'll get these off and let him know that his pair of glasses are all done. All right, I'm back at my desk. These are the glasses that one guy designed. They hold a camera and things like that. So first iteration, he said it's a prototype, so he might be printing some more pieces. We will see how it goes. I just had a buddy of mine shoot me over a Brute trash can that was a can koozie, and he was asking if he can get some. I'm gonna 3D model one real quick, and this is what I do. All right, it is 5:55. I'm gonna start winding down and cleaning up the shop so I can get out of here. I had a busy day of everything you saw, plus customers did come in. We chatted a lot. I'm just gonna keep a lot of the customer footage out of this stuff going forward. Just wanna keep their privacy, and people do come to the store. I don't have to prove that anymore, so I just wanna respect them, and going forward, I don't know if I'll show a whole lot of it anymore. So just be aware of that. All right, I gotta vacuum real quick, and then it should be time to shut the lights off and shut the till and leave. All right, finished vacuuming. It is time to close the till and start to make my way home. All right, now I need to go turn off all the lights and get out of here. So thank you guys for all following along. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps the channel. I'm gonna keep trying to grow this and see if I can get printer manufacturers to recognize me as a business so I can start selling their printers. That is the main goal. So follow me and let them know I exist, okay? I really need that just so I can keep improving this business. It is for community. I want more stores like this around. This needs to be a thing, especially in the Omaha metro area. I want to be the one to bring more stores to the community so we all have something to buy, all have something to come together and 3D print and have fun. So with that all being said, thank you again for being here, and I'll see you next time. Happy printing.